All right, ending chapter 8 on a little bit more positive note than stereotypes, discrimination, genocide, segregation, etc., are what are the ways that we can accept different groups in our culture? They're called patterns of acceptance. So the first one is assimilation. And assimilation is having ethnic groups come into your country or into your group, and they should conform or change to that dominant culture. This is the melting pot idea somewhat. In other words, you should become like us. You should give up your religion if it's not Christianity. You should give up your language if it's not English. You should give up anything in your culture, the foods you eat. Maybe they're unusual foods or holidays or other traditionally um, driven activities like clothing that you would wear for some sort of traditional idea. You should give up any name that would identify you as Hispanic or identify you as Asian or it would identify you as Polish. And then adopt to our ways, our culture, and our way of life. If you want to be American, you have to forget your past and become like us, which, when you look at this, it's something maybe as simple as a Hispanic that has a name Jose Gomez changes his name to Joe Smith, just to be very un-ethnic identifiable. There is a video on Canvas that you should watch about this assimilation, about a gentleman by the name of Jose and how much trouble he had trying to find a job based on his name. Now, we're saying this is acceptance, but is it real acceptance or is it kind of pretend acceptance? Because if I'm telling people to give up what you are like to be like me, that's not really accepting them. It's only accepting them on a condition that you become like us. So it's better than not accepting them, but it's not really real. The other thing is, what can we say is American? We've talked about this in several different units, like chapter 3, for example. What is American? Most of us are immigrants, and most of us have blended cultures. So to say you can't be someone with a name like Gomez, well, I mean, that really doesn't make sense because we are that melted group of people together. The second pattern of acceptance is called amalgamation, and this is the biological merging of ethnic and racial groups within a society. What it means is not just the intermarriage, which again is not always widely accepted, but it's inter-ethnic group or interracial marriage, and you have to have offspring. So it's a genetic blend, the biological merging of two different ethnic or racial groups. Now, don't write this whole quote down, but do write down that Hawaii has had this kind of going on for quite a while with the blending of European people, similar to us, and the natives, the Polynesians that lived there before the Europeans started colonizing Hawaii. So it was in a book called The Evolution of Hawaii. And again, you don't have to write this quote down, but it just points out the fact that it says racial amalgamation here, where East, which is the Polynesian, meets West, which is the European, is turning this whole community into a laboratory that needs to work out problems in the fusions of people, which has never been possible before. What it means is, okay, so you're not European and Polynesian, you're a blend, but now we still try to categorize people and discriminate against blends. And you'll see that in our own country. Mulattoes are always somewhat forced. Are you black or white? Instead of just saying, I'm both. And sometimes they're not always treated the same. African Americans think, well, you're too white to be with us, and whites think, well, you're too black or too African American to be like us. And so they kind of are stuck in the middle. Please watch the video on this DNA experiment, which really opens up the eyes that really the whole world is probably a product of amalgamation. And it's an interesting take on this idea. The last pattern of acceptance is called cultural pluralism. And this is where a culture or a society that allows different cultural groups to come in and maintain your own background, your own identities, your own name, your own religion, your own lifestyles without being identified and discriminated against. Now, clearly, this is a great idea. It's more that salad bowl that we're better as a diverse group instead of us just being cookie cutter people that we look identical, act identical. We've got a blend. It's a good mix. We're a nation of nations, or this salad bowl idea that I mentioned in chapter 3. It's the whole idea behind the push of multiculturalism, non-sexist, kind of ideas, is accepting everyone. So the Jose Gomez comes to this country and he can keep his name, he can apply for jobs, not be discriminated against because he might be a lazy Mexican or one of those kind of people. And so it really it pushes the idea that you shouldn't categorize people based on the way they dress, their names, where they're from, rich, poor, straight, gay, lesbian, it doesn't really matter. Just all is good. Now this is kind of a pie in the sky or utopia idea, but we kind of do a little bit of all three of these. Sometimes groups can come to our country and we accept them with their same name, with their ethnicity, but in some circumstances we want them to give up their ways. In some circumstances we have interracially married and created new offspring. So read activity 8.2, and what we'll do tomorrow is we'll list examples where there's assimilation, where there's cultural pluralism. There's really no examples in this one of amalgamation.